Shalom, shalom, family. Welcome back. This is Brother Maurice. Let's now go to part 6. We're getting information and truth about Aaron, about Moses, Aaron, the Levites, the Levitical priesthood. And we're seeing all of the deception that has taken place that's made its way into the scriptures. Let's go to the book of remembrance of Moses, chapter 12. Now, where we left off in the other video, the last video, we were talking about Ezra. And we seen that Ezra was working with Artaxerxes. And Artaxerxes wanted him to come up with another law. And they wanted them to sell that law to the people. And if they wouldn't follow it, then they would banish them, punish them, kill them, or whatever, if they would not follow these laws. So now the book of remembrance of Moses, chapter 12, verse number 57. And it says, "And the example of Talul to be a slaver, and the wealth produced by that evil, brought with it a tendency to relax the instructions of no slaves. And slaves became part of the Levitical law. And terrible fornications began to show their ugly face in the midst of the holy nation. And in this way, it can be seen that the covenant of Abraham began to crumble and vanish away right before the unseeing eyes of the righteous. And those who did see it could find no way to reverse these new evils that came upon them." Let's go to the book of remembrance of Moses, chapter 15, verse number 51. It says, "And Ezra had scattered throughout the people those who would openly shout affirmations during the reading." So now Ezra's about to read this wicked law that was set up by King Artaxerxes. But he put people throughout the crowd so that they would go ahead and pump up this law. "And Ezra scattered throughout the people those who would openly shout affirmations during the reading, to make it appear that he had widespread support for this radically new form of heathen law that would come to be called the Levitical law." Verse 52, "And Ezra read the Levitical law, and it was so foreign to anything they had ever known in Israel that the people could not get the sense of reading, nor could they understand what was being read. And when the people heard the words of this Babylonian law, they mourned and wept at the sound of it. And the Levites that Ezra had prepared to teach the people said to the people, 'Do not mourn nor weep.' For all the people wept when they considered the words of the law. And the Levites tried to still the people. And they said, 'Hold your peace, for the day is holy. Hold your peace, for the day is holy. Neither should you mourn and be grieved.' And the people clothed themselves in sackcloth out of their grief, with ashes upon their head. And they grieved over the cruelty of the law. And the people were very sorrowful. And those who enforced this new law were very severe. And some of those who spoke out among the people during the reading were taken and hung. And all the people complied outwardly because of their fear. And the Levites said, 'Be happy and rejoice. It is a great day. Share your food with your fellows, for now you have the law.'" Straight wicked. "And it came to pass that all those who revered the covenant of Abraham quietly fled away from Jerusalem into the eastern borderlands. And they remembered the words of Ezekiel when he said that the Lord would gather the remnant, and not into the land of Israel, but that they should go into the wilderness and make his path straight. And by their continued preparation, redemption would cover the land and extend beyond it to encompass all the earth by the Messiah who should come. And the people anxiously waited and counted the generations, looking toward the seventh one, and the wait was long for them. And during that time, nation after nation came against Israel and Jerusalem to conquer and subdue it. And the righteous dwelt in the east, in the border areas, all the way from Gilead and Jabes to Elisha, south of Succoth. And the saints there were ever faithful. And they grew in their generations in the grace of the Lord and in the strength of his love toward one another. And it came to pass that one day they began to hear that in some places the seventh generation was beginning to be born. And they counted the generations, starting with the children of Zadok. And they inquired as it was true, and they rejoiced in Elisha. And according to the prophecy of Zadok, they started what would become a 30-year watch to call forth the new prophet in Israel, who would bring to fruition the complete restoration of the vision of Israel. So now they're waiting for Christ to come in the flesh. So much stuff took place, so much wickedness. And when we come back in video number 7, we need to talk about Solomon, because Solomon had his hand in this also. This is sad, finding all this information out, but it's good to find this information out, because how can we believe we have a God of love when we've seen all these things that took place in the Old Testament? And now we understand these things that took place in the Old Testament was not the Father. The Father never did any cursing on the people. What took place in Deuteronomy chapter 28, in verse number 1 through 15, when it talked about the blessings, those were the things that were going to happen as long as we loved our neighbor and showed love to each other. But from 16 all the way to 68 in Deuteronomy chapter 28, the Father never cursed us. The Father prophesied. If you don't do these things, you're going to be in the hands of Satan. And these are the things that Satan is going to do to you. But they put him down as if the Father did these things, like the Father cursed them. The Father doesn't curse. Satan cursed the people. Satan did all these things to the people. This is why it's important during this time frame that we learn all this information so we can begin to understand our Father. And so we can understand that it is imperative that we return back to the Father and keep his laws of love, because these laws of love are our protection, family. Satan doesn't want us loving each other. He doesn't want us treating each other right. And that's why today in the churches, what do they say? The laws of God are done away. That's because Satan removed these things. And now when we don't keep the laws, we're working for Satan. But now we're no longer ignorant to the fact. All right, family. We'll come back in video number 7. And we're going to talk about Solomon. All right, family. I pray you're able to receive this information. Love you, family.